Lots of festivities in the region to celebrate a sense of community.
And the Gulf Coast prepares for Hurricane Ian. I'm Naima McInnes.
And I'm Victor Mays. This week we're also giving you some tips for dealing with fall allergies.
Stay tuned. You're watching Caroline News Today. For the International Day of Peace last week, the Student Government Association organized their annual Harmony Walk and added a poster contest this year. Student organizations were invited to gather at the water feature for some inspiring remarks and music. They made a chalk walk drawing with hopeful messages, and then they were led by the marching band down Faculty Row to the Chavis Student Center. Poster themes centered on unity and peace in the midst of diversity. The event was co-sponsored by the Office of Student Inclusion and Diversity and the Office of Community and Civic Engagement.
Last week we told you about what's going on with village apartments, which are closed for a year to undergo renovations. This week we've got Vice Chancellor Jeff Howard telling us what's going on with Belkin North.
We had taken Belkin North offline during COVID to use those buildings for isolation and quarantine space. As COVID has dissipated, not gone away, but as it has dissipated, that need has dropped. And with Village closing, we reopened North as a residence hall this fall. We actually did some upgrades and renovations in there and some cosmetic things to reopen it. And it's been pretty popular with students. They like the room size. They're not crazy about the community baths, but we did some improvements in those, some temporary improvements. So Belk is currently offline. It's not being used. But our long-term plans are to look at Belkin North for renovations and to convert them from the traditional community-style bath to more private bath situation. So you walk in the hall and there's individual restrooms, shower, toilet, sink that I can go and have my private space with some community sink areas. And that's our goal, is to move in that direction.
The Lumbee tribe held a ribbon cutting ceremony Thursday for their second Dreamcatcher community housing development. Located in Roland, the subdivision will eventually include 30 homes and one administrative office. The tribe opened their first Dreamcatcher subdivision over the summer in Union Chapel. Lumbee Tribe's officials said that they're thrilled to be able to offer these kind of affordable rentals to tribal members. Some families picked up the keys to their new accommodations at the event Thursday.
The town of Laurel Hill added a fall festival to their lineup of community events this year. The family fun included live music, crafts, and food vendors. Saturday's weather turned out perfect for what they hope will be an annual event. More than 70 tents were set up, and lots of physical activities for the kids were provided. The truck show included a fire department vehicle to spray water.
The weather looks good here, but Floridians are gearing up for Hurricane Ian. The state government has 2 million meals and 2 million gallons of water standing by, ready to be distributed when needed. Florida's Attorney General says she has activated the state's price gouging hotline. Meanwhile, drivers in the Tallahassee area have been lining up to fill up their gas tanks. Micah Cho of WTXL was there.
In an executive order, the governor waived weight restrictions for trucks carrying essential goods, essentially so that they can carry more into the state, and has over 2 million meals standing by in tractor trailers ready to be distributed at any time.
We want to ensure that adequate resources are able to be brought into the state of Florida.
Governor Ron DeSantis issuing multiple executive orders this weekend, making sure that gas stations can stay filled up and shelves can stay stocked ahead of Ian, the storm that could make landfall anywhere between the Tampa area and Escambia County, according to the governor.
We've done things like waive weight restrictions for commercial trucks.
That change designed to help drivers like Commodore Taff in Tallahassee.
We're just going to fill up and get prepared, just in case.
Taff waited in line with dozens of other drivers Sunday to fill up his truck, gas cans, and in a separate trip, even propane tanks. He says he's made the 30-minute drive from Wakulla County to Tallahassee, saying gas stations are starting to pick up in traffic.
I came from Crawfordville, and every gas station in between here and there is backed up.
Topped off, he has one final piece of advice as more and more gas stations and stores tend to look like this.
You see everybody else do it, you get in line.
A North Carolina man is celebrating after beating drug addiction and homelessness to earn 3 college degrees. He's now working on his 4th. Michael Watkins is in a doctoral program where he's studying healthcare administration. Watkins says he was a drug addict who lived in the streets and in the shelters in Raleigh for 20 years. But thanks to people who believed in him, Watkins went clean and went back to school in 2015. Still, he struggles to find work.
I had a 15-year crack habit, and I got clean, and once I started that, it was full steam ahead. No one wants to forgive me for what criminal acts I committed 34 years ago. That was 34 years ago. Can't we move on beyond that? Why must I still be punished for the rest of my life?
Watkins inspires others with his public service. He serves a Red Cross emergency response volunteer in disaster zones, such as Alabama and Louisiana after Hurricane Katrina, and Oregon during the wildfires 2 years ago.
Public Schools of Robeson County has been awarded a $180,000 grant for a STEM enrichment program. The money comes from the Bros Welcome Fund and will cover over a 3-year initiative. They'll be introducing robotics education to 2nd graders at every elementary school in the system. The grant supports after-school activities and hands-on science and technology, hoping to reach underserved and underrepresented populations in STEM.
On campus, Army ROTC is getting some much-needed physical training. But as reporter Sandy Delmar shows us, they have to get up before the crack of dawn.
Early in the morning before sunrise, our Army ROTC cadets train to stand strong during PT sessions here at UNCP. The UNCP ROTC program reserves parts of the track in the morning to conduct various physical training workouts. ROTC aims to attract, motivate, and prepare selected students to serve as commissioned officers in the United States Army. One way to prepare students for commissioning is through physical fitness.
1, 2.
Braves Company's physical fitness serves as a place where cadets can build up their strength, boost morale, and gain confidence throughout the program. Promoting professionalism, fitness, and safety, cadets are able to get a great workout in while having fun. Cadets begin by conducting accountability to ensure all cadets are present. Once completed, stretching and warm-up exercises are conducted. They are led by upper-level cadets, as well as given a brief instruction prior to the workout. The PT consisted of a 3-mile campus run to keep them in shape for physically demanding training in the future. The cadets were split up into 3 groups based on their running capabilities. Group A were faster runners, Group B were intermediate runners, and the C group were slower runners. Each group had an advanced cadet in the ranks to boost morale and allow everyone to push themselves.
Experience in the field, running drills, team building, a little more out there, less classroom, less drill work.
No matter the distance, no matter the challenge, UNCP Braves will always lead the way. For Carolina News Today, I'm Sonny Delmar.
An active shooter drill at North Carolina College goes badly.
And could a beer shortage be on tap in the coming months?
We'll tell you what the industry experts are saying after this message.
STEM is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Officials at UNC Asheville are investigating what transpired during an active shooter exercise for student employees last week. Some participants have complained that they were both surprised and traumatized by the activities and training materials. Hannah McKenzie at WLOS talked to participants.
We know that this meeting did not go as intended, and we would like to learn more about what exactly caused the meeting to be derailed the way it was.
That's University of North Carolina Asheville student Ellie Little reading an email sent hours after a surprise active shooter training Tuesday.
So that was from the director of the student union, basically.
Yeah.
The sophomore, one of half a dozen students, reaching out to News 13 with concerns. This month, student employees of UNCA's Highsmith Student Union receiving this mandatory training notice for a gathering on September 20th.
People got injured, people were falling, people were having panic attacks.
Led by faculty member David Weldon, Little says the gathering involved drills in which unsuspecting students were instructed to run from a gunman, among other exercises.
He came up behind people and pretended to shoot them. He also did the same thing with a prop gun as well. Like, he was pretending to shoot it and giving it to other people to let other people pretend to shoot other students.
Weldon is listed on UNCA's website as Director of Emergency Management. Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs, Megan Hart-Wyant, declined to answer if Weldon is facing disciplinary action. Hart-Wyant also declining to answer if UNCA's active shooter training typically involves instructors pretending to shoot students, and if before future trainings, they'll be alerting all students and faculty.
The reporter referred to the drills leader, David Weldon, as a faculty member, but he is UNC Asheville's Director of Emergency Management.
The Robinson County branch of the Lumbee River State Park will be able to protect more swamps and similar habitats for salamanders as the results of North Carolina's Land and Water Grant. The state's Department of Natural and Cultural Resources have partnered with a national organization known as the Conservation Fund. The executive director of the State Land and Future describes the project for us.
This project is a little over 3,000 acres, and the property is currently in private ownership, but the Conservation Fund, who is the applicant that was working with us on this grant, is working with that private landowner to try to secure a purchase agreement, buy the land, and then, yes, transfer it to state parks to become part of the Lumbee River State Park. So this is on the Lumbee River. Basically, it's the last little stretch of Lumbee River as you go towards South Carolina, right down past Fair Bluff. I believe and hope that the community is excited to have the Lumbee River, which is a national wild and scenic river, in their backyard. And this project would protect an additional 4 miles of river buffer and potentially add to additional protection and access for another node of the Lumbee River State Park.
Speaking of natural habitats, there's a species of wolf that is only found in eastern North Carolina. The red wolf historically ranged from Texas to Pennsylvania. A group in Colorado has just introduced a couple specimens onto property not far from Pikes Peak. Jessica Greenling of KRDO gives us a glimpse of this most rare and endangered species.
Creeping between the trees, every now and then you'll catch a glimpse of Shawnee and Van Gogh. Van Gogh, the braver of the two.
He has been coming out and saying hi to everybody.
The pair are adapting to their new life in Colorado and the cold winter ahead. A big change compared to their time spent in Texas.
When we brought them in here and they were on the grass, they were like, oh, this is really nice here. And so I think they're going to acclimate really well.
The red wolf population is dwindling fast. Over the last decade, numbers have dropped by more than 85%, leaving only 8 left in the wild. While the two won't breed here, it opens up space for other facilities to step in and help.
There again, it opens up space for another facility to be able to have a breeding pair to be able to do that and hopefully then be released back out into the wild.
And at the Colorado Wolf and Wildlife Center, they're using their platform to educate.
We just talk about how they are really important for the ecosystem and to be, and people get a chance to be able to actually see what a red wolf looks like. They also get to know the history of them. They also get to know the fact that they're the most endangered wolf in the world and why we need to protect them.
The reporter said 8, but some estimates of the red wolf population in the wild, which is North Carolina, go up to about 21 wolves. As of July, there were 10 known by their tracking collars, according to U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
College students are always told to set up a LinkedIn profile for future job searches, but a recent study of LinkedIn users is proving controversial among privacy advocates. Researchers from Harvard and MIT worked with LinkedIn on experiments without user consent. They manipulated the algorithm for contact recommendations over a 4-year period. Results suggest that weak ties such as acquaintances led to better job opportunities than strong ties such as immediate colleagues or close friends. LinkedIn privacy policy says the company reserves the right to use personal data and to, quote, conduct research and development. The study supports a theory first posed in the 1970s known as the strength of the weak ties. The recent experimental findings were published in this month's issue of the journal Science.
First, we had a shortage of toilet paper during the pandemic, then computer chips and electronics, followed by baby formula. What's next? Possibly beer. A shortage of aluminum cans and carbon dioxide could be the next supply chain issue to frustrate American consumers. Brewers also point to rising prices of malted barley and hops, as well as transportation. Beer prices are up 5% so far this year, although it's still not as high as food costs, which have increased 11%. The Brewers Association says current trends are against them, and some breweries might be forced to close. Industry experts aren't sure it will result in shortages per se, but the variety of selection could definitely be limited in the coming months.
This time of year, ragweed, pollen, and molds are typically out in full force, wreaking havoc on people with allergies. CNN's Mandy Gaither gives us some tips for dealing with this seasonal scourge.
It's officially fall. That means color-changing leaves, pumpkins, and apple picking, but also seasonal allergies.
Patients will think that they have colds, but the thing about these colds are they are every single year.
Dr. Sandra Hong, an allergist at Cleveland Clinic, says that's one way to know you're dealing with allergies. You can also tell by common symptoms, including a stuffy or runny nose, itchiness, watery eyes, and sneezing.
It happens for more than a couple weeks. It'll go on for seasons at a time.
Dealing with allergies may start with your pet, especially if they go outside.
If you are sleeping with them, you are basically sleeping with some weeds that are outdoors. So I usually ask my patients to keep the pets out of their bedroom, especially during their really big times of the year.
Hong says there are 3 ways to ease allergies, including over-the-counter treatments like nasal spray and antihistamines. An allergy shot can help, and Hong says you can also avoid what triggers symptoms.
Make sure their windows are closed and don't dry any clothing outside, and make sure that when they come in, they take a shower or they wash their hair if they can to get all of that pollen off of them.
If none of this works for you, Hong says go see an allergist because there are other therapies that can be used.
Actor and wrestling superstar John Cena can add another record to his tally. The 16-time world champion of WWE wrestling has set a Guinness World Record, but surprise, it's for granting the most wishes through a Make-A-Wish Foundation. The foundation fulfills what are sometimes the final wishes of children under 18 who are diagnosed with a terminal illness. Cena has helped out 650 children. No other celebrity has granted more than 200 wishes in the organization's 40-year history. Of course, it probably helps that Cena is the most requested celebrity in the program.
I guess we can see him now.
Perhaps I should stop blinking. Coming up, Braves soccer continues their dominance.
And Braves football can't seem to get back on track. But is there a win streak forming for the volleyball team?
Donovan Fant tells us about it up next.
Homecoming 2022. Brave Nation alumni, we have missed you and can't wait to see you back on campus. Kick off your weekend early at Thursday's homecoming parade, bonfire, and Moonlight Madness basketball showcase. And don't forget to swing by the annex for an alumni swag bag and a little food and music at the Connect to Careers mentoring event. Friday, share some memories, reconnect with old friends, and make some new ones at the class reunion luncheon. Experience classrooms across campus with a variety of presentations by registering for the alumni in the classroom. Volleyball faces off against Belmont Abbey, and we celebrate alumni achievement at the Alumni Awards and Hall of Fame. And what better way to cap off a day of memories than a 90s throwback concert at GPAC with Tone Loc, CNC Music Factory, Digital Underground, and Quad City DJs. So rest up Friday night because Saturday starts with tailgating at 11:30. All the way through football, soccer, and swimming. And it doesn't stop until the doors close on the alumni homecoming party at midnight. Brave Nation alumni, mark your calendar. Buy your tickets and dig out some old photos to share. Make new memories with old friends. Homecoming 2022 is where you belong.
What's up, Brave Nation? I'm Donovan Fant, and this is CNT Sports.
On Friday, Braves cross country traveled to Charlotte, North Carolina to compete in the Queen City Invite. On the men's side, freshman Norman Junker secured an 8th place finish in the 8K race with a time of 25 minutes and 25 seconds. 5 other Braves found themselves in the top 50 as the men secured a 3rd place overall finish. For the women, sophomore Jacqueline Koski led the way with a time of 18 minutes and 21 seconds in the 5K race. This was a 13th place finish for her and contributed to an 8th place finish for the squad. Both teams will be back in action on October 8th when they travel to Columbia, South Carolina to compete in the Akia McMillan Invitational. Braves volleyball competed in 2 home matches over the weekend. On Friday, the Braves hosted Chowan in conference play. Imposing their will early, the Braves recorded a season-high 13 service aces and 11 total blocks to take home the victory. They swept the Hawks 3-0. After the match, Coach Carly Wheeling said the game was a good chance to see some players who were lower on the depth chart.
Yeah, we just love Ellie. She's a ball of energy. She's a great communicator. She's been working hard in practice and just waiting for her opportunity along with some others as well. So it's competitive in our gym and in practices, so it's nice to get those players that have been working hard an opportunity because they definitely deserve it.
On Saturday, the Braves went up against University of Mount Olive in what looked like to be a repeat of the previous match. The Braves took a quick 2-set lead over the Trojans before falling short in sets 3 and 4. The Braves bounced back in a very competitive set 5 that saw momentum shift between the two sides, and they eventually won the last set 15-13. Seniors Brianna Warren and Shannon Scrid led the teams with 10 kills each, while sophomore Precious Daly tacked on 4 service aces. The Braves are currently on a 4-game win streak and return to action Thursday when they'll take on Barton College at home. Braves soccer walked into their home facility on Saturday, having won their last 6 matches, hoping to extend their streak to 7 against the Leeds-McRae Bobcats. The task wasn't going to be easy for the Braves, as the Bobcats managed to sneak in a goal in the 51st minute. It was the first goal that the Braves have allowed to any Conference Carolinas opponent since October of last year. The Braves soon rebounded when junior Naomi Fountain evened up the game in the 59th minute. Little did they know it was Anna Grossheim who sealed the victory with her goal in the 85th minute, putting the Braves ahead by 1. But that's only because goalkeeper Chiara Coppin made a point-blank save with 12 seconds left in the game. Coach Lars Anderson said he liked his team's ability to bounce back and regain momentum.
We've had 2 games in a row now that maybe we haven't had our best performances. Starting with the Lander game where we had, we were winning 1-0 at half, but we clearly weren't the better team in the first half. Now, Lander game, I thought we were the better team in the second half, even though we never could kill the game off. We couldn't get a second goal. Today, we were not the better team in the first half again, and really we weren't the better team in the first 15 minutes of the second half. But I think the kids showed tremendous resilience. When we got scored on, I saw that the captains gathered the players, and what was said there will remain between the players. I'm not going to ask, but I would imagine it was something along the lines of, this is not good enough, we are better than this, and we're going to find a way. And I think if you could be on our bench when we equalized with Naomi's goal, I think you could sense that this team isn't looking to come away with a draw. We were then looking to win the game.
The Braves swimming team traveled to Campbell University Saturday to take on the Fighting Camels. Junior Natalia Silva secured first-place finishes in both the 500 and 1,000-yard freestyle events and placed second in the 100-yard freestyle, with a time just under 56 seconds. Mario Mencia Martinez and Ketlin Rodriguez Matos also took home first-place finishes, as did freshman Chiara Ambrosi. Unfortunately, their efforts were not enough to push the Braves to the team victory, and they lost to Campbell 155-102. The Braves will be back in action Friday at King University in Tennessee. Braves football traveled to West Virginia once again to take on the Fairmont State Fighting Falcons in a game that looked like a rebound for the Braves. The Braves took a 14-0 lead going into the break. Their first half performance saw quarterback Josh Jones throw for 2 touchdowns. The Braves' momentum increased in the third quarter as sophomore Dante Bowling returned a punt 60 yards for a score and a 21-10 lead. But Fairmont State rallied quick with 2 touchdowns in just 35 seconds during the fourth quarter, and then a late game interception sealed the victory for the Fighting Falcons. Final score 25-23. The Braves look to get back in the win column Thursday in their game against Frostburg State has been moved up because of the weather forecast. That's it for me. I'll see you next week, hopefully with good news for Brave Nation. Nay and Victor, back to you.
Thanks, Donovan. Looking forward to it. That's all for Carolina News Today. I'm Victor Mays.
And I'm Nay McKinnis. Look for us next week, and don't forget to subscribe.